Hey everybody, Home Slice Henry here, and in today's video we will be showcasing a 12-game win streak that I had in the Open Ultra League to reach the rank of Expert. With all the leagues available, this week I have been playing in the Open Ultra League with my standard team of Gyarados, Shadowclaw Giratina, and Double Legacy Lapras. In Season 6, I've definitely tried to be more content-focused, opting for fun challenges and meme teams rather than strict rank grinding all the time, so still being able to make it to Expert is something that I am really proud of. And so without further ado, here are the battles that were a part of the 12-game win streak. And we're into the first match against Picata, Kun, and we're leading Gyarados into Giratina. This is a pretty solid matchup, and they have Shadow Claw, so this is fantastic. We win all even shield scenarios, so we can, so long as we decide to match shields, we can win switch, or if we so choose, we can lose switch but have shield advantage. So in this particular situation, the opponent does decide to shield, so I am going to let this go. They're probably going to hit me with close to back-to-back Dragon Claws, which they do. And so if I so desire, I can shield the very next Dragon Claw and go for the crunch and still win switch. However, I do decide to take my shield advantage and choose instead to farm them down with Lapras. This will give Lapras a big energy advantage, and with energy and shield, I'm going to be in a really good spot. I don't really fear any charge moves from Giratina, so I can just let this go and use Lapras as a shield. They aggressively swap into Machamp, not wanting to be farmed down, and now they've actually given up switch advantage, so I now have switch advantage and shield advantage, so I'm in a really good spot here. Charge move coming through from that Machamp. I am going to shield up the Rock Slide because that would do a decent amount of damage, and now I'm going to be able to apply a lot of pressure with Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw is able to get it very low, and let's see if I can farm him down. I can, which is fantastic. He did decide to try and go for the Rock Slide, wasn't quite able to get there. And the Giratina comes back in. I'm going to be able to throw the Dragon Claw, which is going to be able to take them out, and it's a Melmetal in back. So we're in a really good position here, because we have a fairly healthy Giratina versus a Melmetal in an even shield scenario. And even though energy was fairly neutral, we should be able to get this fairly low just by using the Giratina. And this is why I do run Shadow Claw and Shadow Sneak, because I use Giratina as my primary steal counter. Because the other two Pokemon really do struggle against Melmetal, but Giratina with Shadow Claw, Shadow Sneak can really keep pace. As you can see here, and it looks like it was CMP, so I am going to shield this up just so I can force that last shield. And I have a very healthy Lapras in back, so I should be in a really good spot here. I'm going to overfarm by 3 and switch out. So this forces them to empty their energy right away, and they're going to throw the Rock Slide, and I'm able to Ice Shard them down and take the game. So as you can see, with shield advantage and my opponent actually gave up switch, we were put in a position to win. Obstagoon lead. Obstagoon is tough for this team, but if I'm going to see it anywhere, I do want to see it up front, because my backline really struggles against Obstagoon, with my Giratina having Shadow Claw and Lapras taking super effective from those counters. I do build up until right before their second Night Slash, and then I throw my Aqua Tail, and that does land. So they choose not to shield, which is super nice, and I'm going to let this go. So I usually like to play this out by trying to play out the zeroed shield scenario, and then if they do decide to shield, then I just take the shield advantage. Here they actually decide not to shield, and in this particular situation, for whatever reason, I decided I wanted switch. So I am going to shield up the Night Slash and farm down, because I had a feeling switch was going to be very important, and there's a Togekiss, so switch was huge in this game, and now I have Lapras on Togekiss instead of Giratina. So I'm in a really good spot. Fantastic swap by my opponent. I'm not sure how they managed to catch there, but onto Jirachi. So I build up some extra energy and I switch out into my Giratina. Giratina has a pretty solid matchup with Jirachi, and especially since its health is already lowered, I could afford to farm up extra energy on the Lapras. I am able to get a shield, which is fantastic. And I try and go for the charge move. Unfortunately, they beat me to the Doom Desire. And now I am going to be going for the Dragon Claw, and this should be getting it quite low to the point where I can farm it down. So I wanted some extra energy, and unfortunately Togekiss takes me out, but I should be in a good position here, and I am going to need to shield this. At this point, only thing that could lose me the game is the boost, but he goes for Flamethrower. So I throw one before 2 Surfs, gets the shield, and one more Ice Shard. I'm able to get to the Surf that is going to take the game. So normally I do decide to let the zero shield play out, but here, for whatever reason, I had a feeling that switch advantage was going to be important, so I committed the shield, played out the 1-0 shield scenario, and that ended up winning me the game. We pick up another Giratina lead, which is fantastic. And as you can see, this is the Shadow Claw, so again, so long as I match shields, then I should be in a good position to win switch. I go straight for the Crunch, and in this matchup, I never ever bait, because it's just not worth it, and Crunch does absolutely massive damage. I can let this go, and I'll be able to farm the Giratina down, and they die right as they receive the energy for that Dragon Claw. So now I do have switch advantage, Melmetal comes in, and I'm able to get to the Crunch right before I die, and this will do more damage than one Aqua Tail, so if you can only get to one move, you do want to go for Crunch, even though Aqua Tail is more efficient. And so now I do have switch advantage, and I have a sizable health advantage over Melmetal, so I should be in a good spot. And as you can see, these Shadow Sneaks are really going to start to add up on the Melmetal. So you can see just by one, it's already in the red. And I have a lot of health to play with here, so I can let that go. I'm over farming quite a bit, and I am going for the Dragon Claw, because my goal is for this to not kill, but to be able to farm down, and they actually switch out into Escavalier. So this is going to be tough, because unfortunately, my Lapras in the back has minimal play against the Escavalier, so I am going to stay in and catch the charge move onto the Lapras. It's the Acid Spray. Oh my goodness. That is very nice. And I am going straight for the Surf, so we can start to get these shields off of Escavalier. At this point, since I am debuffed, I don't really want to shield my Lapras. They are going to be able to counter me down, but I will be able to get both of their shields, and then I'll have 2 shields left for my Giratina. Unfortunately, the Escavalier is absolutely loaded on energy, and even though they're probably going to Acid Spray me at least once, I do still want to shield. And they get to another one. I shielded up again, and you're not going to believe it. They double Acid Spray me, but I'm able to farm them down. And then I have the energy, the Shadow Sneak, to take out the Melmetal and to give me the game. So we are able to take that game as well. So as you can see, picking up some solid leads and being able to play around with them as well. Here's a Poliwrath, and this is a pretty solid lead, as our fast move does neutral damage, whereas theirs is resisted. So just based off that, even though our charge move isn't very effective, we do have a pretty favorable matchup against Poliwrath. Even though they do outpace us, they were over farming quite a bit. As you can see, they're at 2 Ice Punches here. They do go for the back-to-back. And in this scenario, Poliwrath, I believe, wins the zeros, but I usually just like to commit 1 shield and then farm down, and then I should be in a good position. I can tank 1 charge move here. They do go for the Ice Punch, and from here, I'll just be able to farm. I commit the shield here, and then I'll be able to farm all the way down, since they're not going to be able to mud shot me down, and then I'm going to have a lot of energy for whatever comes in. They come in with Melmetal. Ooh, I thought I could get to 2 Aqua Tails, so I go for the Aqua Tail. I'm not going to be able to get there, so that was a mistake. I should have gone for the Crunch. But since I do have switch advantage, I'm able to line up Giratina with Melmetal. And even though I'm at a shield and energy disadvantage, I should be in a pretty good spot here, just because, as you can see, there already is a pretty significant health disparity. Melmetal is absolutely loaded on energy and is going to start firing off those Rock Slides. So you can see they are back to back, and that's going to catch them up to our health, and we're able to go straight for the Shadow Sneak. This is going to get them into the red. They have a difficult decision to make. They do decide to let it go. Ooh, from here they're almost in farm down range, so I'm actually going to let this go and see if I can farm them all the way down. And they aggressively swap in an Escavalier, so nice job not letting me farm them down, but this is going to be tough in the back. I'm staying in here and going for a second Shadow Sneak, because they're going to have a lot of trouble countering me down. So I get both of those off, I get the shield, and now I aggressively swap into Lapras. And at this point, my opponent realizes the Lapras is too healthy and concedes the match. Hopping to the next game against Y2Shay. Leading Gyarados into an Articuno. This matchup is tough, but I have a way I like to play it. Unfortunately, in this particular scenario, oh, it looks like I was getting a phone call during this match. And I'm supposed to win CMP there, but it looks like that I missed a fast move, so unfortunately I ended up not getting to the charge move at the same time as they did. They recognize this and try and farm me down, which is a huge mistake, because I'm able to get to so much energy, and even with the debuff, I'm really going to be able to pressure them, as this Dragon Breath is so oppressive. I get a shield, now I'm able to go for an Aqua Tail. They think it's a crunch, and I'm able to get both shields. So at this point, I have a 2-0 shield advantage. They swap in a Cresselia, and I have a Giratina with a 2-0 shield advantage over Cresselia. So I am sitting pretty at this point in the match. So my opponent did make a mistake of trying to farm down, and that's really going to cost them, as I'm able to land that Shadow Sneak. The next Shadow Sneak will not kill, but it can hopefully get it into farm down territory. Shadow Sneak does so much damage. Oh my goodness. I do decide to let this go. I want to save a shield because I don't want my Giratina to be too healthy with the Articuno still alive. And they switch, they do a really nice play. I was expecting them to bring out the Articuno, and they brought out a Shadow Machamp. So awesome play by my opponent there. And I blind switched in the Lapras. So now my Lapras is in a really tough spot. Able to get to the Surf, which is fantastic. And the Surf is going to be taking out the Shadow Machamp. Articuno comes out, and I have more than enough energy and a shield. So by saving that shield, I'm able to shield up the Icy Wind, and even with the debuff, Dragon Claw is going to be enough to take out Articuno. And so as you can see, even with losing a fast move or two in the beginning and not being able to play it out the way I wanted to, was still able to rally and take the game. Hopping into the next match here, and we pick up an Escavalier lead. This is a fantastic lead, as they're basically just doing resisted damage, whereas our Aqua Tails are neutral. I always let the first charge move go in case it's Acid Spray, which it is. So now I am in a good spot. Didn't shield the Acid Spray, so I'll just be able to shield the next move. Go straight for the Aqua Tail, and I should be able to force a shield here, because they are likely to shield because they do want to get a move off onto me once I am debuffed. So they do commit the shield, and they're going to be throwing. I'm going to shield this up, because, double Acid Spray, and they switch out into Scissor, and I'm going to counter with Lapras. As you can see, my switch there was slow. I saw Bug Steel typing, but I needed to make sure that wasn't an Escavalier. If it's a Escavalier, I do want to go into Giratina, but with Scissor, I am going to be going into Lapras. And as you can see, those Surfs do so much, as Lapras really just wins this matchup by out-bulking Scissor. Lapras is so incredible at tanking charge moves, able to get to a Surf. We're probably going to see them commit a shield here. Yep. And unfortunately here, I do make a mistake. I didn't realize they had two charge moves, so I shielded up, and they go back to back and win CMP, so that is unfortunate. But the good thing is they're now out of energy, so I can come in with Gyarados, farm all the way down, and now my Gyarados is fully loaded. And they bring back in the Escavalier. I remembered they were dry on energy, so I overfarmed by a bit, and I'm going to throw the Aqua Tail, and what's in back? A Swampert. And from here, I'm only getting to one charge move, so I'm going straight for the Crunch. Then I'm going to hop into Giratina, and I'm expecting the opponent to concede the match, and they do so. So, good game to my opponent there. As you can see, Lapras ended up tanking a lot of hits and really helped secure that win for us. Hopping to the next match, a Gengar lead. Okay, this is tough. Gengar outputs a ton of damage, so it's a really important game of calling baits. You can go straight Aqua Tail here just because of how glassy Gengar is. We shield the Shadow Ball, that is massive, and we're going straight for the Aqua Tail. And as you can see, we don't even have to go for Crunch in this matchup. Dragon Breath is so oppressive, and we actually get to the charge move ahead of them, and they let it go. This is awesome. So now we have switch advantage, and we have a decent amount of health. They bring out their own Gyarados. We're going to get to the Crunch right before we die, and so long as they don't shield, this is going to be doing a chunk of damage to their Gyarados, which it does. Awesome. Their Gyarados is low. We're going to come in with our Lapras just to soak so much energy from their Gyarados. So we're going to no-shield this, and the natural bulk of Lapras just eats that Crunch like it's nothing, and they have a Muckin back. So the game is not over yet, as their back line is very hostile to Giratina. So we are going for a bunch of moves here, and we're going straight for the Surf. And this is going to be applying some nice neutral pressure. And we swap into the Giratina on the charge move, and it is the Dark Pulse. At this point, Giratina really isn't useful to us endgame, so we're basically just sacrificing our Giratina at this point going forward. So we're going to let this go. We're hoping it KOs, which it does, and now Lapras is in a good position. We're going to be able to shield this up, farm down, and then we're going to be able to get to the Surf necessary to take out the Gyarados, and the opponent realizes it and concedes the match. And you can see that 5-0 set was enough to get us to Expert. I had been going up and down in the 25 to 2700s for a while, so actually being able to hit Expert, that was a phenomenal feeling. And we're hopping into the next battles. These were our first battles as an Expert. We pick up another great lead in Shadow Claw Giratina. This is a very common lead, and Gyarados handles it so well, as I mentioned earlier, by winning in all even shield scenarios. This time they do decide to shield, and so we are going to let this go, because we don't have to shield this Dragon Claw. Not a lot of people are running Ancient Power, so we're really not too stressed about that. Another Dragon Claw comes through, and at this point, we can decide if we do want to commit a shield, which we do. So we're deciding that we do want to try and take switch advantage or get their second shield. We're going for the crunch, and my opponent does have a difficult decision to make, and they decide to let it go and give us switch advantage. Shadow Articuno comes in, switch is massive. Shadow Articuno, really unless they have Hurricane, can't do anything to Lapras, although that was just an Icy Wind. That was only 5 Ice Shards, so we're fine there. We build up a little extra. Since we weren't able to get to a move before the debuff, we fire off the Surf, and they switch into their Muck. And here I switch and I catch a Sludge Wave onto my Giratina, where it is resisted damage. So at this point, our Giratina again is basically useless, but I was able to use it to soak a Sludge Wave and waste a ton of energy from this Muck. At this point, by switching out, I was able to waste energy, but also I was able to reset that attack debuff on my Lapras. And from here, I don't really need Giratina. This charge move shouldn't kill, so I can just pretty confidently let this go. They're going to switch into Articuno, and I'm able to get to a charge move. This is really going to be pressuring that Articuno. As you can see, that does a nice amount of damage, and we have a Surf ready. They're going to be going for a charge move. Could be the Hurricane. Oh, it is just the Icy Wind. I stand corrected there. It's just the Icy Wind, and we're going to be able to start firing off these Surfs. Surf takes it out. Muck comes in, and we're going straight for a Surf. Since we have a ton of built up energy, we are going to be able to get the shield. And at this point, the Muck is not going to be able to get to enough energy to get to the 2 charge moves that it's going to need. Gets to the Dark Pulse here, and gets to, this should be another Dark Pulse, but they need a Sludge Wave here. Yeah, Dark Pulse is not going to be enough to take me out, so they really needed 1 extra Snarl to get to that Sludge Wave, and we're not able to get to it in time. So a really well played to my opponent, but we were able to take the game. Hopping into the next match here, and Gyarados into Obstagoon. Again, seeing Obstagoon up front, I don't like seeing Obstagoon anywhere with this line, but if I'm going to see it, I'd rather see it up front. They're going straight for the Night Slash. Thankfully, they do not get a boost, and we're going straight for our Aqua Tail. And typically, there aren't shields at this point of the match, as you can see, but that Dragon Breath is really starting to add up onto the Obstagoon. They're going straight for their Night Slash. We are going to let this go, and we're going straight for a Surf. And if the Obstagoon wants switch, here's where they're usually going to shield. As you can see, this Obstagoon does decide to shield, and they actually get nervous here, and they do decide to throw, and I'm going to try and get switch from them. Oh, they do an amazing switch in with Armored Mewtwo, and I lag there and miss a bunch of fast moves, so I'm like, oh, come on, man. So they did a really nice play, but unfortunately I had a bunch of lag and missed some fast moves. As you can see, they got 2 or 3 confusions in, and I just didn't get a fast move. Don't know how that works, but here we are. So charge move coming through from the Armored Mewtwo. I am going to be shielding this up, and this is a tough situation for sure. So I am going to be throwing the Dragon Claw here. That's going to be enough to take them out, and I did do that, so I have a Dragon Claw ready for the Obstagoon. Obstagoon comes in, and I'm going to be able to throw the Dragon Claw and hopefully take out the Obstagoon. And I switch into the Lapras to aggressively take it out, and they have a Charizard in back. So we are in a really good spot here. Lapras handles Charizard exceedingly well, especially at full health. Even though they have the shield advantage, we should be able to comfortably take this match as we can tank a Blast Burn. Straight for the Blast Burn, that does a lot, but we can tank that, so we're not worried about that whatsoever. Go for the Surf, that does a ton of damage, and my opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. So even with some not great leads like Obstagoon, I'm still able to take it. And this is against a guy who actually was in my Discord, and I will be featuring his battles here on the channel shortly. He was running a very similar team to mine, where the only difference was he was running Origin Giratina, and he was running Shadow Atlas. He saves Fox Giratina, and I'm able to land the crunch, and then catch the ensuing Shadow Ball. We're going to need to try and Shadow Claw down, and as he receives the energy for the Aqua Tail, we are able to take him out and win the game. So an incredibly close battle, very well played, and congrats again on reaching Battle Legend, Jas H2O Protector. That is an awesome, awesome accomplishment. And picking up not my most favorite lead against a Shadow Machamp. This is often the Shadow Machamp double steel line where they have Melmetal and they also have Registeel in back. I call their bait here. It's a cross chop. Huge, huge call there. And they aggressively swap. Oh, it looks like this time it's a Scavalier. So they're running a slightly different version. But the good news is our Giratina absolutely destroys the Scavalier. The only downside is, by baiting out our Giratina, that is our main steel counter. So these double steel lines are very, very difficult to play with this team, I'll be honest. We're going to let the drill run through, as it's really not going to do much to us. We're over farming by quite a bit, and we're able to get to the Dragon Claw. We're really hoping, even though it's resisted damage, it'll be enough to take it out. And I had the move and I over tap, so I'm forced to burn a shield. So unfortunate. And yeah, unfortunately I did over tap, and so it ended up being CMP instead of me beating them to the move, which definitely hurts. But they bring out Registeel, so this is okay, because I'm going to be able to get some solid chip damage onto Registeel with this Giratina. They're farming quite a bit of energy, and I do decide to let this go. Flash Cannon, that's just going to take me out. I'm going to be able to come in with Gyarados, and since they have Registeel in back and not Melmetal, Gyarados has a pretty solid matchup with Registeel, because Registeel, all the charge moves are resisted, and we're able to catch the move onto Lapras. So Flash Cannon lands, really doesn't do a lot. They bring out the Shadow Machamp again, and this is where things will get a little dicey, as the Shadow Machamp has a decent amount of energy, and again, I had the move, and I over tap. But I'm able to farm down, and if I can get to 2 Aqua Tails here, the Registeel should not have a lot of energy. If I can get to 2 Aqua Tails here, I think I have this. And we're able to get to the Aqua Tail right before they get to the Flash Cannon, and that is going to be enough to take them out and to give us the game. So an incredibly, incredibly close game there. And the final match of our 12-game win streak, Another Obstagoon lead. Obstagoon leads are really not my favorite because if they get the boost, it's going to be really rough. And actually, how this win streak ended was the battle directly after this one. It was an Obstagoon lead and they double boosted. And I was able to make it close, but I'm not beating the double boosted goon with this squad. That's just not happening. Charge move coming through, that is going to be the Night Slash, of course. No boost in this particular matchup, which I am very grateful for, and we're going straight for the Aqua Tail. As we saw earlier, this won't kill, but we'll be able to get it low. And here, since they're playing out the Zero Shield, I am actually going to commit the shield and take Switch from them. Just because I feel Switch advantage could be important. They have a Gyarados in back. I'm going to come in with my Lapras. And Lapras, again, can just soak so much damage from Gyarados. Those crunches are basically nothing, and they come in with a Venusaur in back. So Switch advantage ended up being massive because we definitely don't want the Venusaur on our Lapras, and those Frenzy Plants are going to be resisted. So we're going to be able to output a lot of damage on this Venusaur, and we should be able to get rid of that shield advantage that my opponent has, as they do commit their first shield. And Frenzy Plant coming through. But as you can see, these resisted Frenzy Plants are really not doing a lot, whereas these Dragon Claws are going to really start to add up on Venusaur. That's why Venusaur is not the strongest pick for the Open Ultra League. It's very strong in Premier, but in the Open Ultra League, it's really going to struggle against all the Dragons and Steels. And as you can see, we are able to get both those shields off of it, and we can survive this Frenzy Plant. We're trying to get to the move, and we are able to get to it, which is absolutely fantastic, and we're able to take them out. And I aggressively swap into the Lapras, and since shields are now down, I'm going to be able to throw the Ice Beam, which is doing massive neutral damage, and my opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. As you can see, we were able to win 12 games in a row with this team, and as you can see, our final Elo was 2840 to finish that run. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this kind of deep dive into my Ultra League battles and me hitting Expert. And if you enjoyed the content, definitely feel free to like the video and hit subscribe. It really does help out the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video.